Hello, I am Jason, and in this episode is another Cemeteries with Markers one, and this one is Calvary Cemetery in North St. Louis. So stay tuned, I will show you some of the famous people interred here. Hello, I am Jason, and welcome to another episode of Historically Marked. I am in historic Calvary Catholic Cemetery in North St. Louis, which is pretty much next door to Bellefontaine Cemetery. Both of these cemeteries have a lot in common. They both date back to the late 1840s, specifically 1848, 1849, somewhere around there. But the big difference between the two of them is this one is a privately owned cemetery by the St. Louis Archdiocese. This is more of a Roman Catholic cemetery, whereas Bellefontaine Cemetery is non-denominational as far as, like religion. There's plenty of notable people buried here, including founders of St. Louis, including the founder of St. Louis, 2 monuments, and a lot of classic baseball players here during the St. Louis Browns and Cardinals classic era, and a lot of city founders too. So there's a lot to visit here, but I'm going to go ahead and show you in this video a few notable interments. So come with me, I will show you. This is the entrance and main building. Today they're closed because on the day I'm filming this it's Saturday, but they do provide a good map to the cemetery. You can also go to their website as well as some others. Here we enter the Chouteau family. Now, who were the Chouteau family? Well, first off, before I even enter, there is a step that marks in clear big letters the Chouteau. And the gentleman I am mostly focusing on is the founder, or sometimes known as the co-founder of St. Louis, Auguste Chouteau. He founded the city of St. Louis when he was 14 years old, so an equivalency of an 8th grader. But it depends on how you look at it in history. So in big letters it says the founder of St. Louis. And this is indeed his final resting spot. And not too far from the Chouteau family is another Chouteau. This is Francis Chouteau. He was the founder of Kansas City, Missouri. I kid you not, yes, a Kansas City founder buried in St. Louis Cemetery. His lifespan was from 1737 to 1838. As you can tell, the marking has a little wear and tear. But in 1821, a little backstory on that. In 1821, he set up a trading post, and 6 years later, the rest of the other members of the family joined in, and the rest is history. Kansas City, by the way, is the largest city in Missouri, and it wasn't always that way. I mean, it surpassed St. Louis many decades ago, and of course I'm not going to get into that, but this is worth pointing out. He is buried in Calvary Cemetery, and now I'm walking towards this monument. I don't really exactly know when it was placed, but of course it looks pretty recent, sometime within the last 20 years. But it says here on these grounds right here that buried here are the remains of many men and women who were founders of St. Louis on February 14th, 1764. And here there's a list of names. And over there is another monument I will show you. This monument was erected by the Lewis and Clark Bicentennial Commission in 2003. This is what is known as the Nez Perce Monument. I hope I'm saying that right. But it does pay tribute to the Native Americans. And as you can see, there are pennies on here. This is the final resting place of Peter Kenrick of the Kenrick Glennon Seminary, which is in Shrewsbury. He is buried in the old priest lot here in Calvary. Here are some more that are on top of the old Priest Hill. A lot of them have some historical significance, like this guy right here, Reverend E.J. Wynn, founder and first pastor of St. Edward's Church, pastor of Our Lady of Presentation Church of St. Louis, Missouri, founder and pastor of Notre Dame Church in Wellston, Missouri, first superintendent of Catholic schools of St. Louis. Goes on and on. And here I am on the top of the old priest lot, as well as on top of the cemetery on the hill. And it's also easy to forget that I'm above high ground. And you can't see the Mississippi, nor can I, but this is a nice view of the industrial part of the city. Now down below there is the original cemetery gates of the Calvary Cemetery. So some cool trivia. There are broken windows on there, and unfortunately, I don't know how long it has not been open, but the main entrance is off of Florissant Avenue. Over here is the gravesite of General William Tecumseh Sherman and his family. Now, there are many notable burials here in this cemetery, but none other than Dred Scott, who is buried here. His wife has a cenotaph next to his grave. She is not buried here. She is buried in Greenwood Cemetery, which is a cemetery for where a lot of African Americans are buried. So Dred Scott, for those who weren't there in their middle school history class, he was a center figure in the 1857 Dred Scott Supreme Court case, and he was freed from slavery by his friend Taylor below. And as you can see, people have left coins, mostly pennies, on top of his grave. On the back of the marker is an inscription. I'll go ahead and read it to you. Dred Scott, subject to the decision of the Supreme Court of the United States in 1857, which denied citizenship to the Negro, voided the Missouri Compromise Act, became one of the events that resulted in the Civil War. Now, sometime I do plan on doing an episode at the old courthouse in downtown St. Louis, where there is a statue of both Dred and Harriet. So I can't wait to do that sometime down the road. But this is the final resting place for Dred Scott. Thank you for tuning in to this special episode of Historically Marked, Cemeteries with Markers edition. I am at Calvary Cemetery in North St. Louis, and I am Jason. signing off.